Iran is literally striking Israel in broad daylight now, and this is their missile alert system to warn where people might get hit. It's important to note that not all these red pins are showing where is getting hit, but just potential targets. These are basically just the major warning zones. Here's another one from Israel's red alert system. As you can see, it's just as packed in. Now, we've seen maps from this emergency system light up before. However, this is the first time the capital, Tel Aviv especially, is being hit because they're being hit by ballistic missiles. Typically, this alert system is warning of drones or rockets, but ballistic missiles go way higher, they go way faster, and that makes them obviously a lot harder to intercept. In fact, the Iron Dome is not really meant for ballistic missiles. They've got other systems to specifically counteract ballistic missiles, but it's not the Iron Dome. This, their most famous of all their interceptors, this is typically for short-range missiles. It also should be noted that the Iron Dome is not, in fact, a dome. I know people get oftentimes very confused by that. So no, the Iron Dome is not primarily designed to intercept ballistic missiles. It is a short-range missile defense system designed to intercept rockets, artillery shells, and other projectiles. That's why we're currently seeing Israel take more damage than ever before, because they're not used to these types of weapons. Well, at least not this many of them being sent all at the same time, of course. Basically, two things are going to happen. Either Iran is going to run out of ballistic missiles, which we assume they have about 3,000, but who knows? Or Israel is going to run out of interceptors to stop the ballistic missiles. And in that case, well, Israel might potentially just get completely destroyed. If they can no longer stop all the new incoming ballistic missiles, well, everything is going to be turned into rubble. Which this might in fact be the reason why the Israeli leader is really trying to ask the American people and Trump for additional support. So again, worth noting, the saturation is just the probability cone of where a missile might land and not the actual targeted areas. The West Bank be like, why you say f me for? Again, I'm sure a lot of them are not actually hitting the West Bank, but they could accidentally, like the first comment said. This is just a potential hit. Genuinely wondering if the Iranian counterattack will be any more effective than last time. Keep in mind, last time they weren't actually trying to get through. You could say it was more of a performative thing. They allowed Israel and the USA to knock down a lot of the rockets. Iran was just trying to kind of save face, tried to do a little bit of something. Now they're actually pissed off though. They weren't actually trying to escalate back in 2024, but now, well, they might be more down. This very much is Iran being in a use them or lose them situation, since apparently Israel is in a week-long campaign. Israel's already been destroying a lot of Iranian missile sites already, so you might as well let them fly, I guess. That way they don't get destroyed on the ground. Iran has been a few weeks away from nukes since 1987. Speaking of which, though, remember, this is actually what got it all started. Israel striking Iranian nuclear and military sites. They're calling it Operation Rising Lion, which could be a throwback to the old Iranian flag. This is what they were rocking before the Iranian Revolution in 1979, so maybe Israel is trying to bring back something more like this. It's also important to note that back in those days, Iran and Israel were actually pretty close. It's kind of weird, obviously, where things have gone. I mean, then again, the USA and Iran were a lot closer before the Iranian Revolution, and yeah, not so much anymore. One of the reasons for this big attack that I don't see anyone talking about is that I think Israel legitimately sees Iran in a very weak state. There's a lot of instability. The Ayatollah is like 85 years old. They just got another Iranian president. The previous one died in a helicopter crash. Their biggest ally, Russia, also has their hands full in Ukraine and has said that they don't want to be involved in this conflict just yet. Let's hope it stays that way. That is a big motivating factor here for Israel. That's probably why they decided to strike first like this. They've also been eliminating high-ranking government officials one by one, so like there's just new faces constantly being introduced. The Israelis probably think that there's a legitimate chance to actually bring in regime change. And remember, this is kind of the final big baddie that Israel has to face. It's just Iran left. Obviously, Saddam hasn't controlled Iraq in more than a decade, and then Assad just got kicked out of Syria. They've been more friendly with other Arab Gulf states, so they might be potentially thinking here they might get the dub for the Middle East. They're thinking one final knockout blow, and this could keep them safe for maybe a century or more. Now notice Israel's only hitting the western side of the country. This is why Israel really wants the US's help. Also for our US bunker buster bombs. That's really what we want because Israel doesn't have those capabilities. That is why the world is so tense right now. Will the US actually join in? It's hard to say. These bombs have 2 charges, which allows them to explode deeper into potential bunkers. They've got a guided system that allows them to lock into the target. Then there's a first charge detonation clearing a path, and then a second explosion that happens after they go through the first opening. That's where the bunker buster kind of comes. That's where it gets its name. It's very difficult to predict if Trump is bluffing, because in a way there is a good reason to bluff. Even if you are seeing like American aircraft and boats being sent to the region, the US has to show a hand that they will potentially come into the war to make sure that Iran stays at least a little bit reserved. If Trump's like, yeah, we're not entering, you guys do your own thing, then Iran can kind of go nuclear. Well, pardon the pun there, but is it a bluff though to get Iran to stop? Who knows? We're gonna find out. This might age like milk. The more military that gets positioned right next to Iran, the more they might feel the heat, obviously, which could potentially de-escalate the situation, or it could cause World War III. We're gonna find out. Speaking of potential targets, these are all the countries that are potentially in range of Jericho 3 or Israel's nuclear missiles. Now, what's interesting that a lot of people don't realize is Israel's never said they 100% have nukes. We just know they do, but they just shut up about it, which I think is pretty fascinating. Although Israel has possessed nuclear weapons since the 1960s, it maintains a policy of nuclear opacity, never officially confirming the existence of its nuclear program. Now, Jericho 3 infers that there is a 1 and 2. Obviously, the third version is the biggest iteration. It's an ICBM, or intercontinental ballistic missile. So in the name, it's going to be able to hit almost anywhere in the world. It's funny because you usually see these nuclear range maps when it comes to speaking about North Korea. Never Israel, though. So even if the Israelis wanted to, they couldn't hit my home city of Los Angeles. And in fact, they really can't hit any of the Spanish-speaking world in Latin America. Well, except for Venezuela. But, and actually, Venezuela maybe could get hit. Venezuela typically is more allied to like the Russia and China side of things. The only other place that is safe is Papua New Guinea, Australia, and then New Zealand. This is with our current knowledge. I mean, who knows what they have secretly going on. But yes, if they wanted, they could hit Iran. Now, no one's talking about that right now. I think that's in a very, very unlikely situation that probably will not happen. But you would think there'd be more conversations. Like, will Israel just drop a nuke on Iran? That'd be absolutely insane. But also, we live in 2025 and we've seen, I don't want to say we've seen crazier, but I just don't want to test the universe. Shit just keeps getting crazier and crazier every single day. Honestly, this map might already be way out of date because of the potential Jericho 4. We've been getting more and more information about that. A 3-stage missile whose capability will include the possibility of carrying fragmented warheads. That's nice. So add Israel to the list of growing countries that can destroy the world multiple times, I guess. Another reason for why this could be a potential World War III. The hidden cities within the mountain ranges of Antarctica feel threatened. It feels great for Perth to be included in something, but a nuclear strike isn't exactly what I had in mind. Honestly, I find it more interesting that a circle on a globe becomes a sinus curve on this kind of projection. Are there any countries with nukes in range to hit New Zealand? Bro, I mean, a lot. There's this thing called submarines. We're like way past the days where like countries couldn't deliver a nuke to a certain specific target on the globe. Like, yeah, we can hit anything we want. I mean, specifically the big players, Russia and the USA. North Korea is still trying to get that ability. But actually, there's a couple countries that can't theoretically hit any place they want with a nuke. We're actually not even talking about the countries that just have nuclear weapons. We're just talking missile ranges. So the smallest circle on this map, this is Taiwan. Taiwan can literally hit just mainland China and the northern part of the Philippines. Well, that's one less thing to worry about. I guess Taiwan won't be dropping a missile on Los Angeles anytime soon. The next smallest circle, we have South Korea here. Honestly, as long as they can potentially hit North Korea and China, I think they're good. I mean, they might want to get some revenge on Japan for everything that happened in World War II. But now we're going to have a lot of circles overlapping each other. First, we have Pakistan. Again, it's really funny because for a lot of these countries, they just need to be able to hit one target. You know, Pakistan really just wants to hit India. Israel just really needs to be able to hit pretty much anything in the Middle East. This circle is showing Iran. Now, Iran is a rare one. I'm sure they would love to have the range to be able to hit the USA just for like negotiation tactics. I mean, I don't think they're going to launch anything at us. Maybe if they get mad enough. And a allegedly this massive circle, the biggest one on the map, this is North Korea. Again, this is not necessarily a missile with a nuke. It's just any sort of missile. Again, take all of this with a grain of salt. I'm not sure exactly how much truth there is to this. We also just don't have the information. This is going off of a lot of estimations. But yeah, if you are not the USA, Russia, China, India, you know, some of the major players, if you're kind of more of like a medium power, you don't need like missiles that go too far. You probably want them one day. But like I said, with the case of Pakistan, like what nation will Pakistan want to hit most? It's just India. So once they had all of India in their sights, I think they were good. They don't need to really advance it too much anyways. I'm sure they'll try and they will continue to, but that was like the bare minimum for them. They can put everything else on the back burner. Looks like South America can chill out. You would think it'd be New Zealand that is kind of out of range for a lot of these missiles, but no, it's actually South America. This is why it's a great place to run off to. The no-no Germans had the right idea. Wait, I shouldn't say that. New Zealand is just kind of in an unfortunate position because they are on the part of the globe where there's a lot of places with missile ranges. It's kind of nice and packed away from everything else. It's fascinating how each country develops missile ranges exactly equal to the distance of its enemies. Yeah, you don't say. If a country can send a satellite into orbit, it sure can hit anywhere on the planet. UK, Russia, China, France, USA, and India all having global reach. Who would have thought that being born in Brazil could actually give you some kind of advantage in life? Kim Jong-un loves Latinas. These are the patrons for this month. If you'd like to join, check that link down below to patreon.com. If Greenland is the largest island, then Australia is its own continent again, right? Drew Supremacy League. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund. Rip Grandpa. Connor Pavlik. Carmel S. DOOCHBAGGINS. Alexander the Terrible. Fredrik Tibblin. KingBearHaze. LuxembourgLover. Miglu the Goat. Nolan. NordTyrol. And Tambre.